Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to National City Christian Church for our weekly Music at Midday concert. My name is Mike McMahon, and I want to extend a special welcome to any of you who may be here for the very first time today and experience the wonderful organs in this church. And when I say organs, I mean the one here in the front and the one here in the back, which is also pretty present. You'll hear the organ music coming at you from both ends of this building, but they blend together incredibly well. So I hope you enjoy that. If you'd like to know more, you're certainly welcome to come up and view the console after the concert is over. And also in the back of the sanctuary, there are some wonderful displays with information about the pipe organ and about this organ here at National City Christian Church. If you are not on our email list, I invite you to give us your name and your email address so we can keep you apprised of our weekly events here at National City. We run these concerts every Friday during 9 months of the year, and we have a great lineup of artists for this coming year. We also would like to invite you to help us support this series. You can make a donation by cash or check. We have plates in the front and back of the sanctuary, or you can go on our website, nationalcitycc.org, and make an online donation there, nationalcitycc.org. It's such a pleasure to welcome Mark Pacoe today, not only because he's from the greatest place in the world, which is my hometown in western Pennsylvania, but also because he is wonderful organist. I think you're going to very much enjoy the program that he's prepared for us today. You can read more about Mark and his background in the program, but now please help me to welcome Mark Pacoe.
When Johann Sebastian Bach was 20 years old, he walked 200 miles to visit Buxtehude to learn from the great North German master. And the Praeludium you just heard is a sectional piece. You have the free improvisatory sections, which you heard with the pedal solo, and then the more structured and fugal or imitative sections, which are characteristics of the Praeludium form. Let's turn the clock back about 100 years, and next we will hear Jan Pieterszoon Sweelinck's Poolsche dance. Sweelinck was also known as the maker of German organists. He was a sought-after teacher, and many German organists of the time went to Amsterdam to study and learn with the great master Sweelinck. When I visited Amsterdam in about 2012, I was sitting on a bench and I was playing a recital there, and I got to perform this next piece, which you will hear, at the Oude Kerk, where Sweelinck was the organist. And in Amsterdam, every church tower, it seems, has a carillon, so you always hear bells. And in this particular organ here at National City, we have a set of English handbells, which are in the back, and when you hear them, you'll see the boxes open. So in any case, I think anything with bells makes life better. This is Poolsche dance. The next piece on the program is based on the tune Londonderry Air by Robert Hebble. As you've read from your programs, I am privileged to work at a place in New York, St. Patrick's Cathedral, which was built by Irish immigrants. And recently, a few weeks ago, there was a major commissioned artwork that was unveiled and dedicated at the cathedral. And it's in the narthex, covering 3 walls. And this artwork, I presume, was commissioned a few years ago, but the main impetus for this tribute to Ireland is the vision of Our Lady of Knock, which happened in 1879. 1879 was also the year that St. Patrick's Cathedral was dedicated in New York. So the mural pays tribute to the Irish heritage and Irish immigrants that were a large part of building the Catholic Church in New York and in the United States. Other elements of the mural include a tribute to the first responders, firemen, policemen, and there were 2 large angels. One is holding a fireman's hat. The other one is holding a model of the cathedral, and there are the church founders and some American religious, like Blessed Pieterszoon and some other New York-connected religious in one panel, and then on the last panel are all immigrants of many ages, colors, backgrounds, and coincidentally, this mural was dedicated the week of the UN General Assembly. So we had many international visitors visiting this, and it's a tribute to all the Irish contributions, such as Londonderry Air. And this is Robert Hebble's Londonderry Air. This next piece is a tune you'll most likely recognize. It's from Beethoven's Piano Sonata number 8, the Pathetique. This is the Adagio. In the 60s and 70s, in Japan, the Electone organ, the precursor to the Yamaha organ, was very popular, and there were lots of popular and jazz artists like Shigeo Sekito who arranged this particular piece of music, where classical music was often crossover into jazz and pop idioms. And if you can imagine, like we know the Hammond organ or electronic organs that have drum beats and other gizmos and gadgets, this was the kind of music, but it easily translates to the pipe organ. It's written on 3 staves, just like regular organ music. And I recently fell into the rabbit hole of eBay because you can't find this music anywhere. And of course, there's all kinds of copies sitting in obscure places in Japan, and it's overpriced. But I ordered one thing and it took 3 weeks longer for obvious reasons. But in any case, there's a lot of interesting music out there hidden in circles like this. I hope you enjoy Beethoven's Pathetique, arranged by Shigeo Sekito. This is probably something you won't hear on Sunday morning. Thank you very much for coming out today on this beautiful weather day and to hear this short program here. The organ is amazing, and I'm so glad to come back and to be able to share with you some of these gems. Thank you to Mike McMahon and the church for hosting us and having us here today. The last piece on the program is Toccata planyavska by Swiss composer Guy Bovet. When I was a student in Rochester, I remember picking up Peter Planyavsky from the airport to drive him to the music school. And so I had a few minutes to chat with him, and I asked him about this particular piece that was named after him, Toccata planyavska. And Guy Bovet is a very interesting character, and as you will hear, it's a very interesting piece. It's built upon this arpeggiated figure, and there's all kinds of rhythmic and colorful things that happen. And of course, at the very end of the piece, as a climax, the pedal comes in and plays these arpeggiated figures all up and down the keyboard. Left hand joins in, then the right hand follows. And at some point, it ends with a big bang. This is Toccata planyavska by Guy Bovet.